Hello campers and fellow camp song lovers. I've decided to postpone my reasons to love camp because I would like to hear from some more camp lovers. Um, and I decided to start a new project. I'm going to read aloud the Sal Fisher Brownie Scouts book. It's by L.S. Gardner. It was written in the 50s, and I'm pretty sure it's out of print right now, but you can find some copies of it on Amazon used. Uh, I'll start with Chapter 1, Two Left Hands. Sal Fisher was having her first sewing lesson, and it wasn't going a bit well. She watched her sister Jane, who was almost 10. Jane held Sal's sewing, fastened in the shiny new hoops, while her right hand went fast, in and out, making neat little stitches. "Now you try again," Jane said, as she handed Sal the sewing. It looked so easy when Jane did it, but when Sal took the hoops, it wasn't the same at all. She tried to do what she had seen Jane do. Pull the thread all all the way up, now down in the next stitch, up, down. Ouch! Sal dropped the sewing, hoop and all, and jumped up. Her pricked finger was at her lips. "What's the matter now?" Jane asked. Sal's face looked like a thundercloud, and her big dark eyes filled with tears. "The matter is, I guess, I'll never learn to sew. What's more, I don't even want to," she cried. Jane patted the back of her pretty yellow hair to make sure every curl was in place. She picked up Sal's sewing again. "It's really as easy as pie, Sal. Now watch me again." Jane did a few stitches quickly. "There. Now you try it." Sal tried once more, but this time the thread went around the outside of the hoops instead of where it should have gone. There was nothing to do but cut the thread and start over again. Sal threw down the sewing. "I wish I'd never asked for this silly birthday present," she shouted. This is the picture. She was sorry as soon as she said that. She really loved the new sewing box with her name on it. It had been a present for her 7th birthday, just a few days before. Her father had made it exactly like her mother's, but smaller. It had a handle and 2 doors on top. Her father had painted it in gay colors with Sally Fisher printed across the door. Her mother had given part of the present too. She had filled the box with a thimble, needles, pins and pincushions, spools of thread, and hoops just like Jane's. Sewing seemed so simple when Jane did it that Sal thought she would be able to sew well too. But that was just the trouble. Lots of things looked simple when Jane did them. Were very hard for Sal. Sewing certainly wasn't fun, as Sal had expected it to be. Jane picked up the sewing, looked at it and shook her head. "What a brownie you'll make, Sally," she said. "Anybody would think you had two left hands, the way Sal snatched the sewing away from Jane's hands and threw it down once more. "I don't want to sew it anyway, Miss Marty, so there," she shouted. "Just because you're older, you think you know everything." "Both of you stop this minute." It was their mother, standing in the doorway. It was on her way to her Brownie troop meeting. Mrs. Fisher looked slim and pretty in her leader's green uniform and hat. "Jane and I have to start out for a Brownie meeting now, Sally," she said quietly. "Nancy wants you to play with her while we're gone. And honey," she bent down and put her arm around Sal, "don't fuss about the sewing. I'll tell you a secret. Jane didn't sew one bit better than you do when she was 7. Sal and her mother went towards the front door, but Jane stopped in the hall mirror. She turned one way and then the other to see how she looked in her Brownie uniform, how pretty she was, and how Sal wished she looked just like her. Nancy Feldman was jumping rope in front of her house, next door. She stopped as soon as she saw Sal. "Come on in, quick," she said. Her eyes sparkled. "I have something super to show you. The parcel postman just brought today." They dashed into the house and up to Nancy's room. On the bed was an open box, and in it a light brown Brownie uniform, brown socks with a tiny brownie on each, and a brown felt beanie cap. "See," Nancy held up her dress to her shoulders. "It just fits. It's from my cousin, Betty. She grew so fast she had to have all new Brownie things this fall. And these are just like new. I can hardly wait for next week when our new Brownie troop starts." Sal didn't answer. She was thinking of Jane's words. "What a brownie you'll make." Maybe Jane's uniform will be too small, and you can't have it," Nancy went on. "I know we can't wear them to troop meetings until after our investiture, but we can play in them at home. If Jane—" "I won't wear her uniform," Sal shouted. "Nothing that skinny beanpole has ever fit me, anyway. And I'm glad of it. I'm not sure I even want to be a brownie. But if I am, I'll have my own uniform, not Jane's." Nancy was too polite to say it wasn't Jane who was skinny, but Sal who was plump. "Why are you so cross at Jane this time?" she asked. "Because she always says I do things as if I have two left hands," Sal said. "But what does she mean? She must be just making a joke." "Oh no, she's not," Nancy. You need a left hand and a right hand to do things well. Most of all, the hard things, like sewing and knitting, two left hands is what Granny says when we do something all wrong. That's where Jane heard it. And now she's forever saying it to me. Two left hands, two left hands. I'm tired of hearing it. I'm going to stop this video now and make a part 2 for chapter 1. See you in a bit. Bye.